Hi all. Topics related to Salesforce test classes interview questions. Yeah, starting with first question. What is test class in Salesforce?
Hello, someone needs to answer,
It's
sir. You will not give answers, madam. Okay, one more thing is, for example, now Sudha madam is giving answer. Next question, other person needs to give answer. Okay, only one person answers the saripodi kada. Clear, everyone? Hello? Everyone needs to give answers, sir, not only one person. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the first question is what is test class in Salesforce?
To test the logic. To test. Hello.
Yes, we are here able to hear.
So to test the logic, whatever running program that like trigger or method, we should have to check that way. Then we should have to call the test class at the rate test class, and that syntax is there. Public static at the rate test, we can test like that. For user, we can use test class.
It is test.
At the rate.
Okay, anyone else? Anything want to add to this?
Test class must be a private one, and whenever we want to deploy our code to production or anything, we must ensure whatever the code we write must be error free. So Salesforce is ensuring us enforcing us to write test class.
Okay, sir. Here is the answer. When we are moving code from sandbox to production, we need to write a test class for testing purposes. So in order to move test classes or triggers from sandbox to production environment, we should maintain more than 75% code coverage in our class or triggers for testers. And as someone mentioned, each test annotation should be used to create test classes. Also here I have some added some more points which are important. Yeah, test class does not have access to organization. In order to get the organization data, we have to write at the rate is test see all data equals to true. And yeah, also sorry.
Add a point. Can you add a point there? But it is not recommended.
Yeah, which is not required, which is not a best practice, but just have mentioned to remember that for organization data.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is not a best practice. Also, we have to use a system that assert statements, which are data accuracy. And also every test class has a method and it should be declared with test method keyword and it should be static, as someone mentioned, as someone told already in the answer. Also, here is the syntax: public class name, public static, test method, void method name. This access modifier can be public or private. Second question is, does Salesforce count calls to system.debug against the code coverage?
No.
No.
Not good.
Yes. No, Salesforce does not count it against the code coverage. And third question is, what is @is test annotation when you will use it?
You can create a test.
Yes. In order to create a test class or methods in the test class, we have to use is test is test annotation. Yeah, here I have mentioned like test classes should be public or private only, and test class doesn't count against your organization limit for all Apex code. Nothing but we can write n number of lines in the test classes. Yes.
Yes.
The next question is, what is test.start test and test.stop test methods?
It will refresh governor limits.
Sorry?
It will refresh governor limits. You can use it. Just stop method start.
Yes, it will refresh governor limits.
Whenever we want to call, whenever we want to test async jobs, then we will use test dot start test and test stop test. So, yeah, as you said, it will run in separate thread.
Yes, separate section with new governor limits.
It will run in separate thread where it acts as a different transaction. So those DMLs doesn't count under
Yes,
the
ma'am.
above.
Correct. Yeah, whatever test we are performing, it is better to write inside the test start and test stop method. Yeah, here are the advantages. Any code that executes after the call to start test and before stop test is assigned to a new set of governor limits. Also, any code that executes after the call to stop test is arranged the original limits that were in effect before start test was called. Like in main class, it will again start from there, wherever it got stopped, the governor limits. So here is the just example I have written. Next question is, what is the use of see all data equals to true?
To see the organized
Organization.
argwide data.
Yes.
Organization. Argwide data. We use it in test class.
Okay.
Beside that.
Yes. If you are defining each test here, all data is equal to true, then we can access the data in test class from the database under all methods which are we are using in the test classes. Under this annotation method, with each test serial would be ignored if we have mentioned false for the methods inside this class. If we have mentioned see all data equals to true, then this see all data equals to false would be ignored. As I mentioned here in the below example, if you see each test see all data equals to true, this will be applicable for all the methods. If we are mentioning any each test annotation with see all data equals to false, then it will not be considered by the system. It will act as true only if we mentioned it for any methods also. Just mentioning above or the test class will act for every method. I think everyone understand this.
So even though we add for a method as false, since it's at the class level, it's true, it is considered as true.
Yes, madam. That is
okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, what is the use of see all data equals to false?
By default, it's data is false.
Anyone?
Anand, tell me Anand the answer. Anand, Arvind, Mohammed, other people, Pandu. మీరు చెప్పండి సార్ ఆన్సర్. మీరు ఎందుకు సెండ్ క్వశ్చన్ నాకు అర్థం కావట్లా. ఇది నాట్ బిట్వీన్ ట్యాబ్రేజ్ అండ్ సుధా అండ్ 2 people కి. It is not conversation between those 2 people or 3 people. You have to give answer. Shivakrishna, Vinila. Tell me, madam, what is all that equal to false? Other people, except Sudha madam or other person. Jai madam. Shivakrishna.
See all data is equals to false. That seems like we can check if the data is in the org is false, or else the code coverage, whatever we have written, might be that. I'm not sure, but I tried.
Yes, I'm going with the answer. Yes, If we are defining a test class with is test annotation with see all data has false, then we cannot access data in the test class from the database under all methods. Just it is opposite to true. There we can able to access the database data information. Here we can't. Yeah, there we as we mentioned, like if we use see all data equals to true at the top of the class, then it will be replicate for all the methods in same manner. But here in this case it is different. If we mentioned even though if we mentioned here false, if we are using see all data equals to true for methods inside the class, it will access true only. Here we can see here you cannot first method it is see all data equals to false only. Here you cannot access like this for contact object data, which is a database regarding data information. But here we are using true for the method. But using this true, we can able to access the organization data here for this method. Accessing contact from database, although is test see all data equals to false is applied for the class, but it will not get ignored if we use methods, any methods true.
See all data equal to true. Wherever we put see all data equal to true, that's the method will have all the data access to the data, even though at the class level it's false.
Yes, madam. Even though class level it is false, we can able to access the data at method level if we are using see all data equals to true. But in the case of true, if wherever if we use just true at the top of the class, it will be applicable for all the methods, even though if we are using false for the methods.
Yeah, we can put them in words like wherever see all data equal to true, it leverages. You can access the data. Where it's false, it doesn't matter. It's
yes,
where it's
here,
true, you will access all the data.
Yes. Here we are using contact object from database. Here also we are accessing contact for although here false, it is applied for method, but it will be ignored as test class is having is test see the all data equals to true. Yeah. Next question is what is @ test setup?
Create all test records in one place. You can use aggregate test setup.
We can get the setup data that we want to we are creating a scenario that that data that we are inserting, we can do all that in setup test setup.
Yes, madam. Whatever data we have set up, we can use it in all the methods. Here, methods that are annotated with test setup are used to create test data, and we can use this test data inside every method of the test class, as I mentioned. I have written an example also. For example, we have a test class. It has 2 test methods, and each test method required 5 account records. So without creating 5 records for each test method, we can create a new method by using annotation test setup. Then we can then create only 5 account records, and we can access all these test records under all test methods using SOQL query. Just once we'll write once test setup and use that information of test setup in every method in our class.
So sir, a question, sir. Ikkada utti insert use cheyadam valla if a DML error occurs, rest of the method won't execute. On database.insert and pedte 4 one error ochina 4 data insert outai. It is same for here even in the test class, right? Sir. Okay.
Yes, madam. DML occurs if any DML occurs in the test setup method, rest of the methods will not get executed.
Insert ఉండడం వల్లనే అలానా, లేకపోతే మనం డేటాబేస్ డాట్ ఇన్సర్ట్ కూడా వాడచ్చు కదా?
Because
Okay,
anything, madam,
Pash.
because database dot insert and normal insert also. So just what is the meaning of other setup is, so is mentioned in the example, right? For example, I have 3 methods. In the 3 methods, I am creating I need some test data. So instead of writing test method, inserting test data in all the 3 methods, just use other setup, create a test data here only. You can use a SQL query. SQL query.
Sir, ikkada
Yeah, so
ikkada
test method using
if any DML error occurs in this setup test setup method, rest of the method not executed అని వచ్చింది సార్, ఇక్కడ రాశారు సార్. సో ఇన్సర్ట్ పెట్టడం వల్ల అలా అలా రాసారా, లేకపోతే టెస్ట్ మెథడ్ లో మనం డేటాబేస్ డాట్ ఇన్సర్ట్ యూజ్ చేసినా కూడా దట్ ఈస్ అప్లికబుల్ అని అడుగుతున్నాను సార్ నేను.
సింపుల్ చెప్పాలంటే ఇప్పుడు రికార్డ్స్ ఇన్సర్ట్ అవ్వకపోతే మీకు టెస్ట్ డేటా రాదు మేడం, అప్పుడు టెస్ట్ మెథడ్స్ ఫెయిల్ అవుతాయి. నాట్ వెళ్ళచ్చు, ఇట్ నాట్. ఇక్కడ డేటాబేస్ డాట్ ఇన్సర్ట్ పెట్టాలంటే పెట్టవచ్చు, నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఇట్ విల్ ఇన్సర్ట్ పార్షల్ అలో. But that generally we will not use like database insert. ఎందుకంటే మనం వాట్ ఎవర్ టెస్ట్ డేటా యువర్ క్రియేటింగ్, యూ షుడ్ యూస్ ద పర్ఫెక్ట్ డేటా అనమాట. ఇన్ కేస్ అట్ ద టైమ్ ఆఫ్ మనం డీబర్ లాగా టెస్ట్ పెడితే అర్థమైపోతుంది మనకు రికార్డ్స్ వస్తున్నాయి రావా అని చెప్పి. ఇఫ్ ఆర్ గెటింగ్ ఎర్రర్ మెసేజెస్, జస్ట్ ప్రిపేర్ పర్ఫెక్ట్ డేటా, వ్యాలిడ్ డేటా ఓన్లీ. డోంట్ యూస్ ద database classes here. This is a test data only na madam. Test data ki database వాడరు. నార్మల్ గా you are using batch effects, you are loading huge data, that time only will go for database operation.
టెస్ట్ సెటప్ లోనే ఫెయిల్డ్ అయితే ఇంకా మిగతా దాంట్లో యూజ్ చేయలేము కదా.
సో పర్ఫెక్ట్ డేటా ఇవ్వాలి ఇక్కడ, వాట్ ఎవర్ ద డేటా యువర్ క్రియేటింగ్.
ఓకే ఓకే
Okay, for next example, it is like scenario based question. Let's say I have a test class in which I have created a test setup method in which I am creating a contact record. Let's say I have 2 test methods inside my test class which is accessing this contact record. If I access this contact record in test method 1 and made an update to the contact record from the test setup method, and after that now I am accessing this again contact record in the test method 2. So here the question is like, will I get the updated contact record or the original unmodified contact record in test method 2?
Unmodified.
Yes sir. Yes madam. Test method 2 will get access to the original unmodified state of record. This is because changes are called back after each test method finishes execution. Yeah, next question is, if a test class is having access to organization data using @each_test see all data equals to true annotation, will the test class be able to support test setup method?
The class will be able to. Yes.
Yes.
Yes sir. The test setup method are not supported in this case because test setup is for creating like test data. Here we, for organization level we are just organization like contact, accounts, objects which are directly.
Very good point, Shyam.
Yeah, so you can't test setup method are not supported in this type of cases. If you are mentioning each test is see all data equals to true.
Okay.
I hope everyone understands this.
Yes.
How many test setup method are supported inside a test class?
One.
Only one.
Yes sir. One test setup method for test class.
Yes.
What is system.run has in test class?
To avoid mixed DML in test class, you can use system.run.
If you want,
Yes.
if you want to run in one specific user context, I use system.run.
Yes sir. For the specific user purpose we'll use system. By default execution mode of a test class is in a system mode. So if we want to run this test class as a specific user, then we'll go with system.run has. Yeah. The next question is,
Can you also include that mixed DML?
okay, a non-setup object,
presentation?
setup objects that is related
please.
to.
It is also for here too, right?
Madam, that is in a
That
test,
is in
normal,
real time, okay.
normal classes, madam, not in
Normal
test class.
classes.
In the normal classes, if you want to avoid mixed DML error, we can use that feature method. In the test class, we are getting that error, mixed DML error. If you want to avoid that error, we will use system.run as method. Both are different scenarios. Akkada non-setup, setup. Ikkada కూడా same thing will happen. Setup and non-setup. But there we can use the feature method. Here we can use the system.run as method. Okay, user create
ఆ పాయింట్ ఇక్కడ టెస్ట్ ఈ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ లో పెట్టమని సార్ తర్వాత చదువుకున్నప్పుడు ఉంటుందని.
సరే మేడం, ఈ విల్ యాడ్ అండ్ మళ్ళీ ఈ విల్ అప్డేట్.
Okay, sir. I will add after some while sending the PPT.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. What are test class best practices?
Setup data in setup method.
Create a test class, you can use aggregate test method.
Use startup and start end.
Start test and stop test.
You have to test more than one record, like you have to test up to 200 records and create your own data.
No?
Madam, just whatever the points till now we have mentioned, in that only we have best practices.
If you want to deploy code to production, you can should 75% code coverage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For classes, triggers, at least you should 90% code coverage. You can use system.assert statement equals to avoid governor limits. You can use start set method, stop set method.
Yes, sir. Also, you mentioned like 90% something. That is not a point. We just need to cover more than 70% for both test classes and triggers. Yeah. Here the answer is like we should always consider doing testing with bulk records. It is normal one for everything. Another is like we should test cases for both positive and negative test scenario. In order to do so, we'll use assert statements. And third part is like avoid using see all data equals to true, as madam mentioned at the starting, like it is not a best practice. The fourth point is like @test setup to create test records once in a method and use in every test method in the test class. This is a best practice. And the fifth point is like avoid using hard-coded IDs in the test class. And next point is like as Apex runs in system mode, so the permission and record sharing are not taken into account. So it is good to go with system.run has with specific user to enforce record sharing. And the last point is governor limits. To refresh, like we have to use start test and stop test methods for refreshing governor limits for the method. Yes, these all are the test class best practices. Yes, the next point is how many types of assert statements are there and what is their purpose?
Assert equals and assert not equals.
Sorry, sir, we are not able to hear. Hello?
Yeah, hello. System.assert equals system.assert not equal.
Not equal to.
So, can anyone able to give the complete syntax of this assert statement? Okay. Yeah. When writing test classes in Apex, we'll use assert statements. There are three types of assert statements here. System.assert condition comma message returns true if condition satisfies. System.assert equals expected value comma actual value, which returns true if expected value matches actual value. And third one is system.assert not equal. Here it will return true if expected value does not match actual value. Here in these cases, message is an optional, and the remaining parameters are mandatory. The next question is why is @test visible annotation used in test class?
Private methods, I will use test visible.
In
Like
the
private
class,
is,
not in the test class, right?
Private methods are private variables.
We use in the class, right? We don't use in the test class.
No, if there is a private method where we want to run testers on that, then we have to use test visible.
Yeah, you write it on the class that it's test visible, the right test visible. I don't know. Go ahead, Shyam.
Can use another class outside.
Hello?
Shams, we cannot hear you. Yeah, it's not in the test class. We use it in the class. I think correction lost.
Okay, thanks, Tapesh. It is good, really good.